Imagine earning $72,000 a year, paying every bill, investing for retirement, and still being 19 days away from financial trouble. If the paycheck stops, the credit card takes over. That is Maya. She is not broke. She is trapped at stage 2, and most people never escape because stage 2 looks like success. There are 6 stages between dependence and genuine freedom. In this video, you will identify yours, find its bottleneck, and calculate the point where your capital begins working harder than you do. Because your stage is not your salary. It is what would keep paying for your life if the next paycheck vanished. Blueprint 1. The 6 stages are not labels for your identity. They are coordinates. And every coordinate answers one question. What is currently supporting your life? At stage 1, dependence, your life is supported by someone or something outside your control. Parents, a partner, government support, or borrowed money. Without that support, the system stops. At stage 2, fragile stability, your paycheck covers your normal life. The bills get paid. You may even invest a little. But one interruption, a job loss, medical expense, major repair, or family emergency, pushes you backward into debt. At stage 3, financial control, you have created breathing room. High-interest consumer debt is gone, a cash reserve protects you from ordinary shocks, and your monthly surplus is intentional rather than accidental. At stage 4, wealth acceleration, part of every paycheck consistently becomes diversified productive assets. Your wealth is no longer a leftover, it is a system. At stage 5, capital crossover, the expected long-term growth of your invested capital becomes larger than the amount you add each year. Your money is now doing more of the work than your paycheck. And at stage 6, financial freedom, work becomes optional because a resilient combination of assets and reliable income can support the life you have chosen, with room for taxes, uncertainty, and bad markets. Most people think the biggest leap is from stage 5 to stage 6. It is not. The most difficult border is between stage 2 and stage 3 because stage 2 feels normal. Blueprint 2. Let us return to Maya. Her monthly take-home pay is $4,200. Her essential expenses are $3,200. Flexible lifestyle spending consumes another $650, and her minimum credit card payment is $200. That leaves $150. Technically, her cash flow is positive, but her $2,000 cash reserve covers only 19 days of essential spending, and she carries $6,000 on a credit card charging 24% interest. Maya does not have an income problem. She has a sequence problem. She is trying to invest, repay debt, maintain her lifestyle, and build cash at the same time. Every goal receives a little money, so none of the structural weaknesses disappears. Then a $500 surprise arrives. She pays it with the card. The balance grows. The minimum payment rises. Next month's surplus becomes even smaller. This is the stage 2 loop. Income rises. Lifestyle expands. The buffer stays thin. An emergency becomes debt. Debt consumes the next raise. And the loop begins again. This is why a higher salary does not automatically create a higher stage. If every raise produces a more expensive version of the same fragile system, income has increased, but freedom has not. Here is the diagnostic test. First, how many months of essential expenses could your cash cover? Second, do you carry debt with an interest rate high enough to overwhelm a reasonable long-term investment return? Third, is a fixed percentage of your income converted into productive assets automatically? If your answers are less than 1 month, yes and no, you are probably at stage 2, regardless of your salary. Blueprint 3. You do not escape stage 2 by chasing the highest possible return. You escape by repairing the system in the right order. For Maya, the first move is not to build a perfect 6-month emergency fund. That would leave the 24% credit card compounding for too long. Her first move is to bring her starter buffer up to 1 month of essential expenses, $3,200. That is enough to stop ordinary surprises from immediately returning to the card. Next, if her employer offers a retirement match, she contributes enough to capture the full match. The details vary by plan, but ignoring matching money can mean giving up part of her compensation. Then she attacks the credit card. Maya redirects $650 of flexible spending and combines it with her existing $150 surplus and $200 minimum payment. Now $1,000 per month can move toward the balance. At that pace, a $6,000 balance at 24% can be eliminated in roughly 7 months, depending on timing and fees. The moment the balance reaches zero, she does not release that $1,000 back into her lifestyle. She redirects it, first into a stronger cash runway, then into automated, diversified investing. This creates a simple decision rule. Send the next dollar to the bottleneck between you and the next stage. At stage 2, the bottleneck is fragility. At stage 3, it is an insufficient savings rate. At stage 4, it is inconsistent ownership or unnecessary concentration. At stage 5, it is protecting a system that has become large enough to carry real responsibility. The correct next move depends on your stage, not on whichever financial topic is receiving the most attention this week. Blueprint 4. Stage 4 is where the system begins to feel slow. Maya is debt-free, has a cash runway, and invests $1,000 per month. But during the early years, almost all visible progress still comes from her own contributions. That can feel disappointing. It is also completely normal. Assume, only for illustration, that her diversified portfolio earns an average nominal return of 7% over a long period. Actual returns will vary, some years will be negative, and 7% is not a promise. After 10 years, investing $1,000 per month would produce roughly $173,000. Maya contributed $120,000. About $53,000 came from growth. She is no longer moving alone, but her contributions are still doing most of the work. Now we can calculate her personal capital crossover. Take the amount invested each year and divide it by the long-term return assumption. Maya invests $12,000 per year. $12,000 divided by 7% is approximately $171,000. At that portfolio size, an average 7% year would generate about $12,000, the same amount Maya contributes herself. That is her capital crossover. It is not automatically $100,000. Someone investing $6,000 per year has a different crossover. Someone investing $30,000 has another. A more conservative return assumption moves the crossover higher. The formula is annual contributions divided by the assumed long-term return. This is a planning model, not a forecast. Markets do not deliver smooth annual returns, but it reveals something important. The goal of stage 4 is not excitement. It is to build enough consistently owned capital that time can begin carrying more of the load. Blueprint 5. Capital crossover is powerful, but it is not financial freedom. Your portfolio growing faster than your contributions does not mean it can safely support your life. Stage 6 requires a different test. Begin with annual spending, not annual income. If Maya's chosen life eventually costs $48,000 per year, she needs a system capable of supporting approximately that amount after considering taxes, healthcare, inflation, and irregular expenses. A common planning shortcut is to divide annual spending by a conservative withdrawal rate. At 4%, $48,000 suggests approximately $1.2 million. At 3.5%, it suggests roughly $1.37 million. Neither number is a guarantee. The appropriate rate depends on retirement length, portfolio mix, taxes, flexibility, other income, and the order in which market returns arrive. That is why Stage 6 is not a magic account balance. It is a resilient system with margin. You have enough productive assets. Your spending is understood. Your risks are not concentrated in one company, one property, or one optimistic assumption. And a bad year changes your plan, not your survival. The final transition is therefore not from less money to more money. It is from dependence on a paycheck to dependence on a system you deliberately build. The 6 stages are not a competition. They are a map. Stage 1 is dependence. Stage 2 is fragile stability. Stage 3 is financial control. Stage 4 is wealth acceleration. Stage 5 is capital crossover. Stage 6 is financial freedom. Maya's most important discovery was not that she needed a higher return. It was that she had been funding every goal except the one weakness keeping her trapped. So calculate 3 numbers: your months of cash runway, your annual investment contribution, and your personal capital crossover. Annual contributions divided by your long-term return assumption. Then ask one final question. What is the single bottleneck between my current stage and the next? Do not try to live like someone at stage 6 while your financial structure is still at stage 2. Build the next stage. Then build the one after that. That is how a paycheck becomes capital. Capital becomes a system, and the system eventually becomes freedom. If you want more visual money systems that turn complicated financial decisions into clear next steps, subscribe to the Finance Blueprint. And comment with the stage you are building toward next. Not your net worth, just the stage.